It's been a minute since I've been in this setup. I'm not wearing pants or underwear. I don't know why I said that. Am I actually, or am I lying? You'll never know. Because I'm talking about a movie, and that movie is called Capone.
Do you know what the difference is between Adolf Hitler and Al Capone? Hitler's dead. Capone lives like a king in Florida.
So Capone is the latest endeavor from writer, producer, director, editor, Josh Trank, who is behind some absolute classics, amazing movies like Chronicle, and then he directed the immediate hit film, immediate flop film, Fantastic Four, with Michael Broadside Jordan and Miles Tells Her Off, which is a just horrible, horrible movie that Josh Trank went on Twitter and completely denounced because the studio apparently took it away from him and it was a horrible experience, and it shows. The movie seems like it's cobbled together by a bunch of different people trying to do a bunch of different things. Actors are in wigs, sometimes they're not, sometimes they are. It's a complete nightmare of a movie that actually does have some interesting ideas hidden randomly in it, but for the most part, it's just embarrassing and terrible. So now we have Capone from Josh Trank.
We have information that your client may have tucked away a very large sum of money.
This was a movie that I was actually mildly interested in, mainly because it seemed like possibly a redemption arc for Josh Trank, going from the indie hit darling of Chronicle to having his movie taken away in Fantastic and redeeming himself with a biopic about a notorious gangster starring Tom Hardy, a great actor. Turns out that's not the case. This movie sucks. So even though I was anticipating this movie, the trailer made it look okay. At least Tom Hardy's a good actor. I wanted Josh Trank to make something good. It just doesn't work. And the biggest problem is, unfortunately, Tom Hardy. He is downright bad. Tom Hardy has made a career off of being inaudible. Nobody can ever understand what he's saying. Even in roles where he's speaking sort of clearly, like in Inception, you still don't really know what he's saying.
You see right there you have various political motivations and anti-monopolistic sentiments and so forth, but all of that stuff, it's
Like, he is just terrible. And it's not just because I can't understand anything he's saying, it's because not only is he completely inaudible and unintelligible, he's playing this so over the top. There's one scene in particular near the beginning where I first was like, oh no, don't do this to me, Tom. Where he's sitting across from Kyle MacLachlan, Agent Cooper, Dougie Jones, and they're having a conversation, and then the Mexican workers at his house like drop something, and he flips out. He like gets up and starts going, he's just so over the top, and it doesn't work for this role because the Capone that is portrayed in this movie is the last year of his life, basically on his deathbed with neurosyphilis, dementia, the works. Like, he is just a vegetable, as close to a vegetable as you can be without being a vegetable. Like, he forgets where he is, he doesn't know his family, he just craps the bed, he craps his pants in front of FBI agents. Like, he is just a walking tombstone, really. And so having this performance from Tom Hardy that is like insanely over the top and just zany, almost goofy even, it doesn't work with the tone that is being presented in this movie, because again, it is sort of a darker look at a notorious gangster. It isn't about his gangster life, it's about his family life and his psyche just absolutely crumbling, and yet you have a central performance that is like Razzie level bad and completely over the top. This would work, I think, in a movie that was either A, self-aware, or B, a comedy, and it's neither of those things. It's not a comedy, it's not funny, it's not trying to be funny, and it's not self-aware. It's not like Rick and Morty or anything like that. So this performance is just bizarre, and it completely drags down the movie. But not only is Tom Hardy just bad in this movie, one of my bigger issues with it is that it doesn't feel like it's amounts to anything. The movie doesn't progress anywhere. From the start to the finish, the only thing that really changes is Tom Hardy's psyche, or Capone's psychological state. That's about it. Everything else is just like window dressing. The FBI is watching him for no good reason. They want to figure out if he has money stashed away, but they don't find the money. So, okay, what was the point of that whole FBI subplot? It goes nowhere. The characters are barely in it. Why not just strip it out? It is so pointless. I don't understand it. Then the nightmare flashbacks to his past and his drug dealing, being a gangster, and seeing his son all over his house, like in weird flashbacks and nightmare sequences, that amounts to nothing. What's it trying to say? Is he trying to reflect on his past and deal with his regrets? I don't know if that's even the case, because it doesn't go anywhere. He just has these nightmare flashbacks until he doesn't. Until he's dead. Until the movie's over. Like, it doesn't amount to anything. And then his son is like randomly cold calling his house. Like, they keep picking up the phone and like, there's a collect call for you. And then someone answers it and he doesn't say anything until the end, when he just does for no reason, and then ends up at Capone's house and holds his hand. What was the point of that? It seems to have ideas, just thrown at the screen, and yet they didn't seem to know how to tackle those ideas or how to make them pay off. Because there are some ideas I like in this. There are some things I like in this movie, despite it feeling like it doesn't go anywhere, feeling like the tone is constantly like wrestling with itself, feeling like the movie has no discernible message. There are things that are interesting. I like that the movie is set with the aging Capone. I like that we are seeing this notorious gangster in such a vulnerable, frail state. It is quite the interesting take on this character or this person. It's interesting to see someone that is perceived as so ruthless as so vulnerable. It is a very interesting place to set your movie. I like that idea. Again, it doesn't really go anywhere or build to anything or have a greater purpose, but I like seeing that. That was the best part of the movie, really. And that only is good because I know the context of Al Capone. That's it. If you don't know who this person is, then that might not even work for you, which is crazy to think about. Another thing I like, though, is Kyle MacLachlan. I think he's great in this movie. He's the doctor. He's working with the FBI, which, again, goes absolutely nowhere. It's not even set up. They just cut to a scene where he's talking to the FBI, and you go, oh, he's working with them? Okay, so what? And then it goes nowhere. But I like him in this movie. I think he is pretty good as the doctor. There's some good scenes with him where he's having Tom Hardy, draw things, and then he's like, draw this bag of money. I don't know why. Why would that incriminate him? What is he trying to accomplish? I don't know. But draw this bag of money. That was a good scene. I like that scene. I like that then his son comes in and is like, you drew this picture of a kid named Tony, and I'm your son, right? And he's like, nah, you're not my son. Tony's my son. So I like that scene as a whole. That's a good scene. I like Kyle MacLachlan, and I also like Matt Dillon in this a lot. He plays the imaginary friend of Al Capone, and he has some really good scenes in this where they're fishing on a boat. That was a fun scene where Tom Hardy is reeling in this fish, and then an alligator just eats it, so he goes and blows it apart with the shotgun. That was great. I liked seeing that Al Capone was really set off by just little things. I liked seeing that kind of part of his character. He's on edge. He could do anything at any time. He could snap just by an alligator eating his fish.
You can drop the act now. You got goons walking around.
There's a lot of cool scenes and a lot of cool ideas. The problem is they don't feel like they link to the next cool idea or scene, and sometimes there's so much padding in between a cool idea or a cool scene that it just is like a slog to get through. The pacing in this is horrific. Some scenes feel like they go on for eternity, and some ideas don't feel fleshed out enough. It's like this constant rushed and slow thing that is so weird. Like there's a scene where Al Capone is watching Wizard of Oz and he starts singing along with the lion, and then he goes to the bathroom and sees an FBI agent in the bathroom, and he has like this confrontation with a lighter that feels like an eternity, and then he just walks out of the bathroom. What was that? I just don't understand this movie. Tom Hardy sucks in it. There's so many things I don't get. Why is this happening? Why is that happening? What is the greater point? I don't know. It's not good. It's not a good movie at all, but it is kind of interesting to watch and be like, why were any of these decisions made? Because Josh Trank is the writer, director, and editor of the movie, so he clearly has a vision for what this is supposed to be, and it just is baffling. I don't understand what the vision is. I don't understand what you're trying to say. I'd probably give it a 3, maybe leaning towards a 2. Like, it is just awful. But it's kind of interesting.